Next up, we have carbohydrates coming in at 4 calories per gram, the same as protein. So, carbohydrates' role in the body are one of two primary fuel sources for the body, and whilst carbohydrates aren't technically essential, meaning that we could survive without carbohydrates in our diets, whereas protein and fats are essential. If we never got enough protein or fats, eventually we would die. Carbohydrates technically aren't essential. However, a caveat for that would be that, like I said, carbohydrates is the primary fuel source for the body, the preferred fuel source for the body. It's a much more efficient process of making energy, utilizing carbohydrates, and especially for high intensity activities, be it weight training, running, playing sports. Glucose, glycogen, carbohydrates are the preferred method, or the preferred energy source for these activities, these glycolytic activities. The name glycolytic meaning, utilizing glycogen for fuel. And when we look at the research in terms of higher carbohydrate diets versus low carbohydrate diets and performance in sports or performance in running, or high intensity activities in general, we consistently see that the higher carbohydrate groups always tend to perform better, and that makes sense as well from a kind of a biological point of view as well, because it is the most efficient form of making energy for those kind of high intensity activities. So in terms, whilst it's not necessarily essential for health, it's not essential for, to survive. In terms of thriving and performing at your best, be it in sports, or even supporting your training, your weight training in the gym, you could definitely consider carbohydrates essential from that perspective. So what about fiber? Fiber is another form of carbohydrates, and it serves a crucial role in keeping our digestive system happy, and healthy. So the gut bacteria benefit from the fiber. The bacteria in the small and large intestine, actually, dietary fiber, is the primary fuel source for many of this gut bacteria, and therefore keeping them healthy and happy is essential for nutrient partitioning, or nutrient absorption. So if we look at gut health, which used to be a kind of woo woo topic, it's now becoming a lot more understood. If you have poor gut health and your digestive tract is chronically inflamed, you're not going to absorb the nutrients that you're consuming. So you're not what you consume, you're what you absorb. And you can actually see this, and I have seen this anecdotally myself, through consuming what would be recognized as above the recommended daily intakes for micronutrients, but on blood work still showing up deficient in various micronutrients, and that kind of attributing a lot of that to poor gut health, as I was going through some pretty full on digestive issues at those times also. So you can make a kind of fair assumption that that's at least playing a role, if not the sole contributor to the reasons for the blood work showing up, being under in some of these micronutrients. So we have guidelines for fibre: 14 grams per 1,000 calories. So if you're 2,000 calories, you're 28 to 30 grams of fibre per day minimum. Uh, there's probably, if you look at, not enough fibre or too much fibre, I would much rather be erring on the side of caution of too much. The negative impacts from not having enough fibre far outweigh the negative impacts, in my experience, from having too much fibre. Too much fibre, maybe a bit of bloating, maybe a bit of constipation, a bit of discomfort. Not having enough fibre, not absorbing these nutrients, uh, even having issues with bloating, gas, diarrhea, things like that as well. So from in my perspective, or from in my opinion, I would definitely err on the higher end of that fiber intake. And you don't have to do anything magic if you prioritize minimally processed whole fruits and vegetables. You'll get that intake. Even grains as well that digest well for you. You'll reach that intake. You don't have to do anything super special. So it's really easy to do, providing we follow these kind of whole foods. In terms of muscle building, I've alluded to this earlier. During these intense workouts, carbohydrates provide the energy needed to perform at your best, and then post workout carbohydrates is going to help to replenish the glycogen stores that we've depleted during those activities. So really, really, really important stuff in terms of aiding recovery and supporting muscle growth and ensuring that our recovery is on point so that our next bout of activity can be at the same intensity. All right, that's the whole thing about prioritizing recovery, or especially from a nutrition perspective. Anyway, from fat loss perspective, carbs get a bad reputation. You commonly hear it. People just say, oh, I need to lose weight, I need to cut out bread, I need to cut out carbs. And you need to be in a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter if it comes from carbohydrates, fats, a combination of both, and an increase in movement. It's, you have a minimum requirement of fat, which you don't really want to go below. But there is nothing wrong with carbohydrates in general for the diet, and from a fat loss perspective. And even in my own anecdotal experience, I've tried ketogenic, I've tried paleo, I've tried carnivore, and everything kind of in between, and have including higher levels of carbohydrates was definitely the easiest diet that I found if I was trying to lose weight, and having as many carbs in as possible while still trying to obviously be in a negative energy balance helped support my training endeavors. My training performance was able to sustain for a longer period of time before it dropped off. You get a natural drop off in your diet, and that's expected. I was able to fill up on higher fiber carbs as well, thus making me feeling fuller for longer, and being able to adhere to my diet a bit better. And I can bulk up my meals with more fruits, more veggies, and get all these micronutrients and get all these cofactors in that support a healthy metabolism, which I believe had a big impact as well. So anecdotally, I would be trying to keep those carbohydrates in as much as we can, and unless you have a preference that you prefer ketogenic or something like that, then by all means do whatever you feel is going to work best. But this is my own experience, and experience I've seen for clients as well. In terms of sources, a wide variety of grains, vegetables, fruits, legumes, starchy carbs. Eat the rainbow is the quote from Precision Nutrition. So a wide variety, get as many diverse micronutrients in as possible, and support that gut microbiome also from that diverse those diverse foods as well.